Hey guys, it's Tuesday. It's the College Football Betting Show. I'm Lawrence Presman, the Prez, your host. And we've got Dave Cokin, the legend himself, and Teddy Covers joining us. We're going to take apart 5 college football games in depth and then do 10 quick takes. I'm going to bring the guests in and we're going to start the show. Hey Teddy, how are you, brother?
I'm doing it right, though. It's funny. Because occasionally now, I'm starting to get called, when I start doing a show, they call me the legend from Las Vegas, Teddy Covers. I've been here since 98. And yet, if I'm doing a show with Cokin, there's only one legend on this show, and that would be Dave Cokin. He was a legend when I got here, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, and you know, normally I get about 200 calls a week to do shows all over the country. And they're like, we'd like the legend Lawrence to come on and do these shows. But then whenever I'm on a show with you, Teddy, I know who the legend is.
Cokin.
You. But then when Cokin is on, you and I both take a back seat. Hey, legend, what's up, Dave?
I have an interesting stat for you. This is the NFL, not college, but I just saw it this morning, and it was mind-boggling. Did you know that the Odell Beckham of the Cleveland Browns is 58th in the National Football League this year in targets?
Wow.
How much of an idiot coach do you have to be to have an offense where Odell Beckham, who's arguably as good as receiver as you'll ever see, is 58th in the league in targets? That's unbelievable. No wonder they're 2-5. My God, that's incredible.
And that's why Teddy, Dave Cokin is a legend. Because we'll talk crap, and Dave was like, to hell with all this shit. Let's get to some sports betting info. Yeah, Cleveland's a mess, and I would be very surprised if Freddie makes it through the year. Anyway, boys, let's get straight to it. Oregon, -4.5 on the road playing USC, and Dave, a huge win by Oregon last week. They must be emotionally drained. I mean, they charged that field like they were some kind of plus 21 dog that pulled some monster upset. Do you think that's in play this weekend?
No. But what I do think is that Oregon's starting to get a lot of attention nationally once again as a potential playoff team. Now, I'm not sure where that's coming from. Because if you've watched Oregon play, they're not a potential playoff team. They just aren't. They're not the best team in the Pac-12. They had to rally in the last minute against Washington State, which is an okay team, but nothing special. I just don't see where this talk is coming from. The quarterback, I believe, is overrated. And Utah's better than they are. So I don't see Oregon as a potential playoff team. But as long as that hype is out there, we might be able to take advantage of it. And this is a situation where that could come into play. Look, USC is only getting up for certain games, but this is one of the games they'll be up for. And in terms of talent, just matching up the talent on the two sides of the field, you can make a real case that USC is just as talented as Oregon. And at this point in time, while we malign Clay Helton all the time, is he measurably worse than Cristobal? I don't think he is. What Oregon's done the past few weeks, I guess you could, a nice win at Washington. But Washington's not a great football team. Barely get past Wazoo, and Wazoo is certainly not a great football team. I think Oregon's going to have trouble with USC here, and I would not be surprised if the Trojans win this game.
Teddy, what are your thoughts here? You got a 5-3 home team playing against a 7-1 team with a lot of expectations and hopes.
You're looking at that straight up records? I don't think we're worried about with straight up records is bowl eligibility, and these are two teams that are going to be bowl eligible. I pay very little. Honestly, I pay I pay surprisingly little attention to straight up records in college football, and I agree with everything that Dave Cokin said. And I'm going to add more to it.
Please do.
Oregon's defense over the first half of the campaign put up ridiculous numbers. They allowed 6 to Nevada, 3 to Montana, 6 to Stanford, 7 to Cal, 3 to Colorado. That's over a 5-game span where you don't give up more than a touchdown. And did they give up? I don't think they gave up 300 yards in any of those games. When you have that type of a statistical profile on defense, betting markets pay attention. The pundits pay attention. And all of a sudden, it's an Oregon team that, once they faced an offense real offense the last 2 weeks, the defense has been what we thought it was coming into the season, which is okay, not elite. But this season-long stats are showing this Oregon defense is truly elite. Now, remember, they haven't even turned the ball over once the last 3 weeks. So this is a team that's been winning turnover battles, and of all the things that Dave said that I agree with the most, USC has just as much talent as Oregon does, legitimately. I think the points here are a gift. Trojans are live.
He's Teddy Covers. You can find him at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. And Dave Cokin, you can find him at wagertalk.com. And remember, guys, check out Puck Time, our hockey show. We do it every day, Monday to Friday, different guests all the time. And Dave Cokin will be joining us on Thursday. Dave, how's your NHL going?
Pretty good. Always nice to get easy wins, and I've had really easy wins with best bets the last 2 days. Vancouver last night, 5 spot in the first period. That was over. And went against the Flyers with the Red Hot Islanders on Sunday, and that was an easy win. So those are fun. And the college football, by the way, is still hitting steady, 62% for the season, so no real complaints.
Outstanding stuff, Dave. Dave, we'll go to you first. The Mustangs, SMU, 8-0 record, 6-2 for you, Teddy, against the spread. On the road, they're +6 against Memphis, who are 7-1, and 5-3 against the spread, Theodore. Dave, this game should be a doozy. We've seen the total move to 70.5. Where are you going in this one?
So this is a game where the line is the most interesting thing to me. Because SMU is unbeaten. They're having a phenomenal season. As of right now, if the season were to end today, they would be playing in the January 1st major bowl game. They've had a couple of near escapes. We'll put it the Tulsa game, and last week that rivalry battle with Houston. But they're still unbeaten. And Memphis hasn't exactly been spectacular. They got lucky last week. Tulsa missed a field goal at the end, a pretty short field goal at that. And Memphis got away with a win there. They had another game that they escaped. They lost to Temple. And then, so you look at this line, and SMU is the darling of the mid-major world right now, if you want to call it that. And yet this is priced at nearly a touchdown. It's as if the odds makers are begging you to take SMU. When the odds makers are begging you to do something, my philosophy is it's best to look the other way. And that's what I'm doing here. I think Memphis will get them in this game. I think the pressure is starting to get to SMU. Thought we saw some of that last week against Houston. And meanwhile, Memphis is on cloud 9 right now because they just won a game they should have lost. And they're still alive to win the conference and to get to be playing perhaps on January 1st. Might be a long shot there because Appalachian State might be the team to beat, but that's another story entirely. I think Memphis is going to win this one.
Teddy, what Dave is saying, 100% right in regards to the pressure for SMU. Houston outgained them by 122 yards. And Memphis is 7-1 against the spread as a home favorite in their last 8. Where are you going with this one, Mr. Covers?
I'm more likely to look at total than I am at side in this ballgame. Memphis started out with some surprisingly good defensive numbers and some surprisingly weak offensive numbers. And you look at over the course of the last month, and that's pretty well changed. They've been an over machine. They've cashed 5 straight overs. The offense is clicking. The defense just gave up 584 yards and 41 points to Tulsa, and the reason they won the game. And Tulsa's not a good offense. The reason they won the game, as Dave was talking about, the missed kick. Memphis does not have a defense that I trust to stop SMU. SMU gave up 37 points to that same Tulsa team we were talking about it. We're lucky to win that game in OT. Defense couldn't stop Houston last week. The pressure is mounting for that squad. Don't trust either defense. And SMU's been an over machine. The only under they cashed all year was last week by a hook, literally by a half point. Other than that, it's been all over. So at 70.5, I understand that the pressure's there. I also understand that both of these teams' strength is on the offensive side of the football. And in a meaningful game between an 8-0 team and a 7-1 team, I'm looking for both teams to go to their strength. I like this game to get up and over the total.
Guys, really quick, I'm on a massive run right now and everything. 6-2 hockey run, 6-2 NFL run, 8-0 baseball run, 3-0 college football run, 7-2 in my last 2 Saturdays in college football. And that all adds up to an 18-5 all sports run. And I told you guys yesterday, this run is going to continue for a while. I had Miami last night. What a sweat. They tried their hardest to give those 14 points away. I mean, I don't know if you guys checked out like the last time. Pittsburgh had the ball with 3rd and 2 to go to ice the game. And all I thought to myself was, oh, God, if Miami gets that ball back, they're going to throw an interception, pick 6. And Fitz idiot almost did that in the first play back with a minute and change to go. Either way, I won that play, and I have a promo for all of you. It's live until Friday. Head over to wagertalk.com. Use the promo code PREZ225. That's 1 month of all my bets for $225. And Teddy, it must have been a nice reprieve for you that you didn't get 600 emails on Sunday where you had to get on the phone and talk me off of a ledge.
It was a very rare week.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Georgia, -6.5 against Florida. Is it 6.5?
6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. Look, nice recovery from Georgia, winning last week 21-0. Dave, what are you thinking about this one?
It's a great rivalry. Going to be tons of intensity. In Georgia, I think it's fair to say that they might regret that Justin Fields isn't still the quarterback there. The way he's playing at Ohio State. Holy cow. Georgia just they haven't played to the level that most expected them to be at this year. I mean, they're still really good. There's no question about that. And they're still really live to do some damage in the SEC. But I think Florida has played more to their potential or beyond their potential in terms of what people expected than Georgia has. Bulldogs have had some shaky spots this year. And they could have another one here. I think they're a little overpriced in this game. Florida's defense is really good, really, really good. And Trask has been serviceable at quarterback. He's not a great quarterback by any means, but he's a decent pocket passer. The one area where there's concern is that he has issues with ball security at times when you put a big pass rush on him. But he's getting better in that regard. I think Florida's got every chance to win this football game. It won't make my card. This is going to be a definite pass for me. But I would lean to Florida taking the points.
Teddy?
Me too.
Okay, Teddy, just start.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have to throw over between Dave and me every time. You can if you want to. Say, Teddy, what do you think? But when Dave finishes talking, I'm capable of picking up the cue. Thank you, though, Lawrence.
Why don't I just kick back?
Yeah, you chill. Dave and I will talk for a while.
Look at track pants, T-shirt.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You two handle the show.
Want to smoke? Here you go.
Pen. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. The Bulldogs have 3-point spread covers all year. One came against Vanderbilt. Okay. Bottom feeder. One came against, Murray State? FCS squad. The other came against Tennessee, bottom feeder in a game, didn't they? Were they trailing at halftime of that contest? It was competitive for a half. That's it for the entirety of the season. 3 covers for Georgia, and they all came against weaklings. We like Mullen as a dog. We like Florida catching points. And Georgia step up in class games, South Carolina, Notre Dame. That's it. And they haven't stepped up in class very well. Florida's shown they can step up in class, in the Auburn and the LSU and South Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. I think the Gators are live too. I'm with you, Dave, on this one.
Guys, Miami, Florida State. Florida State's -4. The total is dropped by 2 from 49.5 to 47. Both teams are 4-4 on the year. Dave, are you betting this game?
No. Numbers slightly favor Florida State against the spread. Miami with an ugly win last week against Pittsburgh. I'll give Miami credit. Pittsburgh has a terrific pass rush, and Miami did a good job preventing them from going off in that department. And Miami can't stop the pass, and they did last week. So Miami showed some real improvement coming out of a very bad game against Georgia Tech. But there's the problem with Miami. You can't figure out what they're going to do from one week to the next. In fact, that sometimes you can't even figure out what they're going to do from one half to the next. Witness the Virginia Tech game where they're down 28-0, come back and almost win it. Virginia Tech scores late to get that one. So they're an extremely erratic football team. Florida State, I'm not really buying signs of improvement. The ACC, and this is the problem with ACC games, and in fact, I guess you could say somewhat betting favorites in ACC games. Beyond Clemson, the whole conference stinks. I mean, it's a terrible ACC this year. On my power ratings, I think I have Pittsburgh as the second best team in the league. How bad is a league when Pittsburgh is your second best team? It's pretty bad. So, this is a toss-up to me where you've got two coaching staffs that are having problems getting consistency out of their players. That may be due to the coaching staffs, so just not that much talent. I think Florida State pulls it out. I gave them a few points for the home field. But, boy, this is a tough game. And here's the other part, the other aspect, though. It might be one of the best games to watch this weekend because there's no love lost. It's going to be a really intense battle. And maybe you can get a feel for what's going on early and go with the team that gets out to the lead. Because I have a feeling that what we see early in this game might stand up at 4 quarters.
47.5 is a lot of points for this matchup, for these two offenses. I mean, Miami is what they are. They gained 208 yards of offense last week against Pitt. Okay, that is not the type of offensive football team that I'm comfortable. They scored 17 against Central Michigan. Buffalo hung 43 on them last week. I mean, Miami offensively is a work in progress, is giving them credit.
Teddy.
Everyone moved the ball against Georgia Tech. What?
Miami is 129th in college football on third down conversions.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Out of 130, they are 129 in third down conversions. You're 100% right. I mean, their offense is a mess.
Sure. But it's not like Florida State's moving the ball up and down the field every week. They have playmakers in a way that Miami doesn't. The quarterback play has been spotty at times, but it's been much better at home than away from home. I lean under in this one. I don't know that I get to the window with it, but that is my primary look.
Dave, Utah, Washington, really good game this one should be. Yeah. Utah plus 3.5.
No, minus.
Sorry, Dave?
Utah's favored.
Oh, Utah minus 3.5. My apologies. Anyway, Dave.
That's important because if Utah was plus 3.5, I'd be getting off this show right now and making a bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we've established is Dave will bet Utah at plus 3.5. If you guys head over to Bet365 or another book, use the alternate lines. I'm sure you can find that price. Dave, talk to me about this game. This should be one of the best games to watch of the day.
Well, this goes back to what we talked about with Oregon and USC, where Oregon is getting all the national talking head attention as, hey, Oregon's got a road to the playoffs after all. Utah's the team that ought to have the road to the playoffs because they're the best team in the Pac-12, and they're pulling away. Okay, I mean, a few weeks ago, you might have had a discussion. Utah/Oregon/Washington, who's the best one? I don't think there's much question right now that Utah is the best one. And if they play their game on Saturday, I don't think there's much Washington can do about it. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout because Washington's a decent football team. They're playing at home. Peterson's a solid coach. But right now, Utah is the team to beat in the Pac-12, and I don't think Washington has the horses to beat them. There's a chance Utah will be on my card on Saturday.
Theodore?
Unfortunately, the bettors have already gotten to the window with Utah in a real way. This opened as low as -1. Most 2.5s and 3s, and the 3s are all gone, and the 3.5s are getting bet up. And you can understand why. Utah's defensive numbers over the last month have been ridiculous. That's why they've cashed 4 straight under. 13 to Wazoo. Nobody holds Wazoo to 13. I mean, Wazoo had no chance of moving the football in that ballgame, held under 300 yards. Oregon State threw the ball all year, not against Utah. Oh, and that game was in Corvallis. They're 217 yards for Oregon State. Arizona State and Cal shut down the last 2 weeks. Those are 2 weak offensive teams. But 136 yards, 85 yards, total yards for the game for that Utah defense. That's not a defense I'm stepping in front of. I've learned the hard way, unfortunately, that Utah is not a team I want to step in front of. But we're certainly finding out that the betting markets are agreeing with that heavy wise guy action on the Utes early in the week.
Yeah, the opening number on this game was not the best number I've seen this season. Let's put it that way. The value's gone as far as the spread is concerned, but it still might be the right side.
No argument.
Guys, 10 quick takes, really 15 seconds each. Let's race through the board. Purdue +2 hosting Nebraska. Dave Cokin.
I am just so pissed off at myself for not playing Indiana last week. I think we talked about the game, and I liked Indiana and didn't pull the trigger on it. And that was a mistake because Indiana's better than Nebraska. Maybe this is a game where Nebraska can get a little bit healthier. Purdue's not very good, and a pretty bad loss for Purdue in a good spot against Illinois last week. And they got. I mean, there was no doubt about the better team in the field in that football game. Can't back either one of these teams right now. Maybe Nebraska wins it on talent, but this is not turning out to be a picnic for Scott Frost.
Yeah, especially with the expectations on that team coming into the season. But if you ask me which of these two teams is more bet against, it's not even close. Purdue is more bet against than Nebraska right now. I didn't do much right in college football last Saturday, but one thing I did right was bet against the Boilermakers as favorites. A team that has been so injury riddled that whatever you thought they were coming to the campaign doesn't matter now. But when you're non-competitive at home against Illinois in a flat spot for the Illini, that's not a team I'm going to ask to win any games. Nebraska or pass.
And by the way, how bad does that loss to Nevada look now? Because Nevada is they're a train wreck, and Purdue losing to them is not good.
Well, if you remember the game, Purdue had it won, and then turned the ball over 4 consecutive possessions or something in the second half and let it get away.
Yeah.
But that was a game that Nevada stole. That wasn't that the Nevada won wire to wire.
Boys, UNC, Virginia, North Carolina -2.5. Dave Cokin.
Yeah, Virginia has played more to my expectations than the national expectations were for this football team. They're just not that good, and I think North Carolina's got a really good chance here. This will be one of the better games of the day. Lean USC.
Mr. Covers.
Did I say USC?
I worry about this spot for the Tar Heels this week. I really do. It's not a North Carolina team that I want to lay points with, and the only thing that's been happening in North Carolina games all year is dogs have been covering. Yeah. I think one favorite's covered in Tar Heel games all season, and that's not a trend I'm looking to stand in front of.
BYU on the road +3.5 against Utah State, a total of 49.5. Bet down from 53. Mr. Cokin, where are you going in this one?
Well, BYU got some new life with a very good performance against Boise. They still have a chance to get to a bowl game. Sataki's trying to save his job. That's the way to do it. And Utah State is turning into one of the flops of the year. They just are. I mean, this is a team that has a great quarterback. They did lose a lot of people from last year, but the expectations were that the new talent was maybe better than the talent that they were replacing. Retread coach, not exactly working out real well. Utah State's a fade right now. I look at the Cougars as the side here.
Do you agree, Teddy?
And where, I mean, when we talk about Anderson, where was the last time he had success, Cokin? His last tenure at Utah State.
That hire mystified me. It did. It really did. I mean, why do you go back?
Or when he left Wisconsin to go to Oregon State, or when he left Oregon State?
To me, the way he left Wisconsin, I wouldn't hire him. Making excuses about, it's too tough to recruit here because the academic standards are too high. Give me a break, will you? It's Wisconsin. You're in the Big Ten. It's not that tough to recruit. No, I thought it was a bad hire. I thought Utah State could have done a lot better.
And certainly we look at the concept for BYU. We talk about the win over Boise and a bye.
Yeah.
After that. So they're a rested and ready team. Utah State has been very good off a loss, although most of that came with other head coaches.
Teddy, congratulations on your alma mater's big win last week.
I could care less, but thank you.
By the way, Teddy went to Michigan, and as we can hear, he could care less. Dave, Notre Dame minus 17.5, playing the Hokies. Is this their bounce back week, or are they going to lay the smackdown on this team?
I don't know. I mean, the problem here is, do you want to back an ACC team? And again, the conference sucks. But Notre Dame's season is over. They're not going to be playing in a major bowl game. It's that simple. They're out. They got 2 losses, and it was a very bad loss at Michigan. This might be a team they can get healthy against if they're in the mood, but I don't know what Notre Dame's mood is right now, and I don't want to lay this many points to find out. But again, the problem is, outside of Clemson, when these AC teams go out of league, I don't want them. It's just a horrible conference.
Smells like a stay-away game to me. Teddy, what do you like in this one?
So when Michigan won the national title on January 1st, 1998, one of the best days of my life, very, very fun day. I had Washington State plus the points. I had Ryan Leaf plus the points in that game. I actually I got to root for Michigan and cash a ticket with Washington State. So for this, Michigan, you guys, my first year in Vegas, it's Bally's. I was at the Bally's Sportsbook. Michigan State game. I had Michigan State plus a 10.5, and I was screaming, Plaxico! And Plaxico scored 3 TDs in the big house. I don't care if Michigan wins or covers. If I'm betting against them, I'm not, they're great. Michigan got the money last week and against Notre Dame, but my days of fandom ended a long, long time ago as to whether the Wolverines win or lose. I only care if I'm betting on it. This is not a lay points with Notre Dame type of week by any stretch of the imagination. So a priori, it's a Virginia Tech or pass for me. And look, Hokies have won 3 in a row. They're coming off a bye. They've played better, noticeably better. And the North Carolina game stands out because twice in that game, all the Tar Heels needed was one stop to get the win, get the cover. Once at the end of regulation, once at the end of overtime. And both times, Virginia Tech was able to execute offensively, which is something they weren't able to do earlier in the season, to get the tying touchdown and then eventually winning and covering. So lean Hokies here. It's the only way I could look.
Teddy covers with us. You can find him at Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. The legend Dave Cokin, always found at WagerTalk.com. And remember, guys, I'm on an 18-5 all sports run. You can get a month of my plays for $100 off the regular price. Use the use the promo code PREZ225. Dave, what an upset by Kansas State last week. What an ending to a football game. Now they're on the road. They're playing Kansas. They're -5. Is this a bad spot for Kansas State?
Yeah, potentially, but the fact it's a rivalry game, and it's a rivalry game they really take seriously, that'll mitigate that somewhat. But boy, is this Kansas team, they beat me. Look, they beat me last week, and this is the new Kansas because they fell behind 17-0 to Texas Tech. And the old Kansas, you can just go stand in line to cash the ticket because the game's over. And they came back and won it. I mean, the way they won it was absurd, but the fact is, they did come back very impressively and hit some great passes, deep passes against Texas Tech. But there's the rub. The Texas Tech pass defense was unbelievably bad in that game. I think they gave up 5 plays of 50 yards. Because outside of that, Kansas got murdered in that football game. They're still not that good. So I still would look at Kansas State here. I don't think Kansas State has a letdown off the Oklahoma game. In fact, sometimes these letdowns get assumed because a team scores an upset. Sometimes it's just the opposite, where a team starts to really believe, hey, we're really good. And they build on the upset and start playing even better football. And if that Kansas State shows up in Lawrence this weekend, the Wildcats will have a fairly easy win.
Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, the Jayhawks, their offense has shown signs the last couple of weeks. Their defense hasn't shown signs at all. And that definitely concerns me against the Kansas State team that found a nice offensive rhythm last week. And back-to-back wins, the win over TCU, which was a down-to-the-wire affair. They were the dogs in that game and found a way. And then, obviously last week, the betting market's knee-jerk in spots like these. They always say, oh, it's got to be a letdown. We saw the Purdue money last week, a prime example after Illinois pulled the big upset. Oh, my God, Illinois beat Wisconsin. They have to be flat. But the favorite couldn't be laying in that game. So here, Kansas State's going to lay down. I don't trust Kansas to hang tough in this one, being favored to pass for me.
Dave, Arizona -5.5 against OS. What do you like?
Not taking Arizona. It's as simple as that.
Okay, Teddy.
Oregon State or pass.
Theodore?
Yeah, I mean it's not a pass. This is a clear Oregon State. Beavers are at 3 wins. All right. They're thinking they can win this game, and then who knows? To get to 4-4. They're 4-4. This is a team that has been god-awful, and they're talking the talk about, hey, let's be able to do something. And, we saw them hang against Stanford. We saw them beat UCLA. We saw them beat Cal. And both those wins coming on the road, they've been rested and ready. Arizona making knee-jerk moves. Oh, let's fire the defensive coordinator. Oh, let's make a QB change. I won't be laying with Arizona. I'll put it that way. I agree with Dave wholeheartedly in that regard.
Oklahoma State -3 versus TCU. Total of 64.5. Bet up from 63. Dave Cokin, quick thought.
Yeah, TCU might have found something on offense last week. They've got some talent, and that's a really good win for them against Texas. They're on the uptick. Oklahoma State obviously off a very good win against Iowa State. I think TCU might have flashed a mini buy sign last week. I'm considering them on Saturday.
Theodore Huxtable.
Yeah, and I don't believe in the Oklahoma State Cowboys, even after that win over Iowa State last week. The Cyclones came out a little bit flat. They turned the ball over, and Oklahoma State was able to take a big lead and hang on for the victory. But if you ask me, which of these two teams am I more likely to have point spread success with moving forward? The team that opened the season 5-0 ATS, or the team that hasn't put together any ATS winning streak at all this year? I say TCU with no bandwagon. And look, Rager can play. They found a QB now. And the Frost, TCU's QB play isn't consistent, but they have their fair share of big play potential, and Oklahoma State's vulnerable to that. It'd be the dog for me if I got involved.
Who's Theodore Huxtable?
Bill Cosby on the Cosby Show, and it's just I've been calling Teddy that for like 15 years. What can I tell you, Dave? I'm a strange cat.
I appreciate the Cosby references. Thanks.
Yeah, nice. That's real nice.
Hey, I'm not like it.
You call him Teddy Roosevelt. At least you're bringing up someone who is heroic instead of a guy who's rotten in jail.
Well, I'm not talking about Bill Cosby himself. I'm talking about the character he played.
Said he was. Oh well, okay. He was the character was Bill Cosby.
Okay. Can we move on? Western Kentucky -2.5 versus FAU.
I would be insulted about the...
Yeah, Teddy, be insulted. Do you want to fight?
I want some pudding pops.
I'll bring you some pudding pops. I'm going to see you on Wednesday.
Which game we're talking?
Western Kentucky -2.5.
So you got two teams. This is a tough loss for Western Kentucky. Really tough. They gave away 2 turnovers in the first quarter to Marshall, fall down 14-0. I've got a Western Kentucky ticket, so I wasn't real happy about that. But the Hilltoppers showed tremendous grit and came all the way back, tied the game. Looks like they're going to get to overtime. And the Marshall guy kicks one from a 53. Long way out.
54.
Long way out. Yep.
Which was beautiful. If you had the points, if you're taking the points, that's all you wanted.
You know that. And I like Western Kentucky. So I was very happy with that because it got me a cover with Western Kentucky. But that's still a really tough beat for a team. Florida Atlantic, Lane Kiffin did a good job insulting the officials coming out of the prior game. And his team was really pissed off last week and took it out on their opponent. And that's a nice little tightener for the team. I think the situation favors the Owls here.
Oh, I'm sure the situation favors the Owls, but all Western Kentucky's been doing for basically the entirety of the campaign is just covering spreads.
Yeah.
When you find the team in a lesser conference that plays defense, that team tends to be a bet-on squad. And again, Western Kentucky, they were -3 in turnovers last week. They covered the number. And I understand it was a tough loss. They had won 4 in a row prior to that. All their goals are still in front of them. It wasn't a crusher. And now they're back at home against a team that I don't know that the Hilltoppers offense is not going to blow you away. And if this is a game where side and total, I believe, are at least somewhat related. Western Kentucky correlates with under. They're not going to hang with FAU if this is a high-scoring game. And if you want to maximize your ROI, you might want to look at, if you like the Hilltoppers, put a little under with it. If you like the Owls, put a little over with it.
Why are there so many teams called the Tigers in college football? How many?
14. I have no idea if that's right or not. I just picked the number.
As a Canadian, I don't actually get that. I mean, if you can come up with Cornhuskers and Hilltoppers and Golden Gophers, surely you can come up with other names. I mean, Jesus, there's like 3 teams in a 200-mile radius of each other called the Tigers.
Well, all right, I'll offer an explanation. Most of these teams, these programs have been around for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And the imagination level with nicknames was very limited back when these started. It's not like today where you have every new nickname has to be as creative as possible. You can't duplicate anybody else's nickname if you have a franchise now. So there's your explanation. It's a matter of when it took place, and it's as simple as that. And Tigers was, real popular.
Yeah, clearly.
It beats Aggies.
Yeah. Well, just for the record, Clemson has the best logo out of all of them. I was on San Jose State last week. Nice win against Army. Can they pull the upset against a mighty strong Boise State team? Plus 17.5, Dave?
No, they can't. But they might be able to hang around. San Jose's playing with tremendous confidence, and Boise, you have to figure out where they are mentally right now. Off the bad game against BYU, and that kind of didn't eliminate them from playing on January 1st, but it sure hurt their chances. If the right BYU team shows up, there's not much San Jose can do about it. But I'm not sure you get the right Boise team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing with BYU from a circumstance perspective,
Boise.
The one thing about Boise, from a situational standpoint, they had the loss to BYU, but then they had the bye.
Yeah, that helps.
And in my mind, that mitigates a lot of that. All that being said, you're not getting any bargains on the Boise side here, and all San Jose keeps doing is winning games and covering point spreads. Now, it is a team that's played in 5 different time zones this season, and that does concern me here. They haven't had a bye since week 3, and I worry about traveling east and coming back and playing a physical team. That definitely concerns me here about the Spartan side. But the back door is always open with a quarterback like Love. Even if they're beaten down, they're capable of finding a way to get in the end zone and covering the number.
Guys, head over to Wager Talk. Use the promo code PREZ225, $100 off of my monthly package. Last game on the board, Hawaii -2.5 against Fresno. Dave, take us home.
It's a tough game because Fresno, my overall power ratings for the season still have Fresno and Hawaii about even. But the recent power ratings would favor Hawaii. Fresno State just not putting things together. And, the final score of the UNLV game a couple of weeks ago was misleading. That was an 8-point game going to the fourth quarter, and then UNLV fell apart, and Fresno hit some big plays and won by almost 30. They sure weren't good last week. I don't think I want Fresno going to Hawaii, but with the number being where it is, I think you're paying a little bit of a price to back Hawaii in this game. So I'm going to have to reluctantly take a pass on this one.
Teddy?
Oh, I would look at the Hawaii side here. I would only look at the Hawaii side here. Fresno's way down from where they were last year or the year before. Way down, both sides of the ball. This defense was elite last year. This year they're giving up 31 points a game. Colorado State moved the ball at will against them last week. And game on the line in the fourth quarter, Colorado State really moved the ball at will against them. Offensively, Fresno. We talked about McMarion as being all right. He's the ham and egger. But he made plays. He didn't make mistakes. This year, nothing but mistakes from Fresno with the Q. The turnovers have been a problem. The offense isn't very good. I think Hawaii is the better of these two teams. I thought the price was cheap. And the first bets came on Fresno. The 3's down to 2.5. It'd be favorite or pass for this bet.
He's Teddy Covers. The legend Dave Cokin with us. I'm the Prez. You're watching the College Football Betting Show. We tape it every Tuesday. It goes up on Wager Talk TV Tuesday afternoon. Guys, thanks so much for your loyal support, watching these shows, commenting and talking to us. Teddy and Dave, thanks again. A great show. Dave, I'll see you Thursday for Puck Time. And I'm in studio next Wednesday in Las Vegas. So excited to see you, my friend Teddy.
I would look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, Lawrence. I'll make sure to show up for you.
Prez out.